So the next lesson in sort of this hopeful series is the major scale. The major scale consists of essentially 8 notes, and they're in a specific orientation to each other. It's sort of the backbone of all music, or how scales and everything come together is usually based somewhat off the major scale. Even pianos are set up in the form that you could just play all the white keys and it'll play a major scale all the way through. What I want to go ahead and do is first explain the difference in the way that I'm going to explain things is by steps. So what I mean by a step is from one fret to the next fret is a half step. From one fret to 2 frets away is a whole step. So it's going to go root, half step, or root, whole step from wherever I'm starting. So the root is your first note. It's the first degree of any scale, well, typically, or it's sort of the underlying phrase for the whole scale itself. What I'm going to go ahead and do is actually choose a C major scale. And so I'm going to start here on the 8th fret of the E string. The reason why I'm choosing C major is because all of the notes are natural. There's no sharps, no flats. So C major, in order to get to the next note, it's going to follow this pattern. So no matter for any major scale is going to follow the same pattern. It's going to go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half in between each note. So if you start at C, you're going to go whole, whole, half. So it's going to go a whole step between 1 and 2. So C, D. Then you're going to go to a whole step to E. D to E is a whole step. And then E to F is the half step. F to G is another whole. G to A is another whole. A to B is another whole. B back to C is that other half. So here's your octave, here's your root. Well, they're both the root, but one is an octave from each other. So I'm going to show you how to play it again linearly, up the neck, and then I'll show you how to do it down the strings. You're going to go C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to E, whole step to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, half step to C. Now from here, you can play it also directly right down the 7th and 9th frets essentially. So you're going to start on the 8th. You're going to go C, D is still that whole step. Now a whole step skipping in between strings actually starts here and goes down 1, 2, 3. So from here to here is a whole step. You need to realize that interval. So the difference between a second and a third goes from here to here. Now if you notice, the difference between a first and a third, the third note in the scale, is only 1 fret different, but a string different. So the difference between a 1 and a major third is often, you'll find that in chords, and that's when we do the lesson on chords, you're going to understand where chords come from as far as the scale is concerned. So you go 1, starting at C, 2, D, 3, E, 4, F, 5, G, 6, A, 7, B, 6, C. So if you remember from the roots lesson that you can find on my channel, if you have a note here, the next octave is down 2 strings and up a whole step. So that's your scale. Now you can continue it down and actually go up a whole another octave. So the difference between this C and the next note, which is a whole step, which will go to D, E, F. Now you got to remember, because the B string's tuned a little bit differently, it's tuned a little bit higher, you can actually go here. So it's going to go C, D, E, F, G is going to be on the 8th fret, A, B, C. And then also, as you know from the roots lesson, that C and that C are just a couple octaves from each other. And you could see that because there's an octave in between on the major scale. Next week we'll probably go ahead and tackle the minor scale and see where it comes from and how it's derived from the major scale. What I would suggest practicing is going up and down this scale, not only down the strings, or up the strings, but also up the neck. And you can start anywhere. If you follow the roots, you could find any C and do the same major scale across it, up and down every single string. Get really familiar with it. One of the best things you can do is also learn the relation between each degree. That way when it comes to making chords and playing solos, everything like that, you can play certain notes from each, certain degrees from each scale, and it'll hopefully match the chord progression and it'll sound pretty. Any questions, just go ahead and post them up and we'll go from there. Thanks. Bye.